What is good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Greg, your one and only corrupted angel, and today we're looking at something really fun. This is probably one of the weapons that I would recommend every new player that is trying to get to Steel Path gets. It is something that will carry you through Steel Path. It'll carry you through absolutely every single piece of content you can imagine, and there is so many reasons why, but we'll get straight into it and have a look. And if you wonder what weapon I'm talking about, it is indeed the Phenmor. The Phenmor is a really easily achievable weapon from the Zariman, and boy oh boy does it slap. It is so good, and I will talk about why as we go through it. Starting off strong, we have the Incarnon form, giving us a ridiculously large fire rate and a goofy amount of damage. Moving on, we've got the fire rate evolution as well. This is my choice in comparison to projectile speed and less recoil while aiming. I personally think that fire rate is just objectively better at slinging bullets downrange. We then have on empty reload speed increased by a major amount. This is really nice. You could easily go with the 20% chance on instant reload with a headshot kill, or a magazine capacity if you really desired to. It's up to you. I think both are valid options here as well. I just did reload on empty because the amount of times I am just pounding this gun down the range and hoping to get kills instead of actually doing that, it's very important. Then we have Elemental Excess. This is a really good ability. A lot of you might think, oh my god, why would you take away critical chance and why would you add status chance, to any of you that don't know the weapon. And the other option is plus critical chance and plus status chance. However, my issue with that is the synergy with the final one. The final one says there is a 50% chance every single time that you do 2000% more damage on non-critical hits. This is insane. This makes this weapon incredibly effective and does all sorts of good damage. The other alternatives are nowhere near as good, with needing to get fewer status effect chances for critical damage, or on headshot you get 50% more headshot damage, so none of them are really all that great. This does not compare in any way, shape or form to the ridiculous amount of bonus damage that Devouring Attrition gives you. Moving on to the actual build itself, it does look a little funny, and we'll talk about why. We've got Primary Deadhead in here because we want to get as much damage as possible on this weapon straight away. You can easily put Merciless instead if Merciless is more your jam. I personally like Deadhead. There is also the option of Crux, but I don't believe it works with the Incarnon form, so there is that to consider. We now have the actual build. We've got Galvanized Chamber and Galvanized Aptitude as always. These are multi-shot bonuses and status bonuses giving us extra damage. Really important stuff to put these on your weapons as soon as humanly possible. I highly recommend doing that, getting them. They are a must-have, and I absolutely love them. We then have Amalgam Serration, which is my flex slot. You can put anything else in here if you want to. I personally represent a Amalgam Serration fan club, if you will, as you may know from any of my other previous videos, that give you sprint speed and damage, which is really nice. Last but not least, we have Hellfire and Rhyme rounds to give us Blast. The Blast procs here are really important. And then we've got Rifle Elementalist for more status damage and some punch through. Not the greatest amount of punch through, but a little bit. And then Vial Acceleration for a crapload of fire rate and 15% less damage, followed up with Magnetic Capacity for 60% magnetic damage, as well as 40% magazine capacity. This just adds up really nice. We don't have to build for any form of critical chance, so we don't have to worry too much about that. That's at least a really positive part of this gun. You can experiment with this in any way you want. You could easily drop Vial Acceleration if you wanted to. Let's go straight into the mod review. I'll show you what this weapon can do. It really does hold its own in this sort of area of Steel Path, it does a great job. The reason why I'm not running viral on this weapon as well, if you're unaware, is because I have a Panzer Filer. You could easily run a viral on this weapon if you felt like it was necessary to do so. I personally think the blast is just better because you can really stack blast rounds on this gun incredibly effectively, and that's something that I think a lot of other Warframes just can't do. So let's go through it real quick. Now, headshots are required with this weapon, and if you are aware of my skill, you will know that headshots are somewhat difficult for me sometimes. That's also why we sort of just do one of these. As you can see, it does kill things even without the Incarnon form, so don't fear it. It is not the biggest deal in the world. And then the Incarnon form is just insane. It feels like an arc gun in a lot of ways, like an arch gun that you would get in an Archwing mission. It does insane damage. It's got a ridiculous fire rate with that bonus damage as well. You could put a former on this gun too. I should preface that. You could easily put a former on this gun and put a primed mod for elemental damage on this weapon if you really wanted to. There you go, that's the first clip. And then we'll just try our best to get access to more. It is somewhat hard. You could also put an Exilus adapter on here if you wanted to former it even more. I like to just spam bullets down range though, and it usually works out pretty good. Again, the recoil is still pretty rough, but nothing too, like, unmanageable.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more.
But it just clears rooms. It really does. It clears rooms in every sense of the word. And I love it. It's just instant 10 blast procs, it feels like sometimes. It is absurd. Absolutely ridiculous. If you want Firestorm in here instead of Vial Acceleration, you really could do so, and it would probably still not lose you too much in terms of damage. But again, this is not min-maxing for damage, it's min-maxing for comfort, it's min-maxing for your ease of use, right? And that's something that you should always consider first. Personal take though, I think that this is the way to play Warframe. It's not necessarily needed to have the best and most amount of damage you can. It's about having the right amount of damage and the best amount of AoE, the best amount of reload rate, the best amount of everything else. Unless you're taking this thing to something ridiculous like level cap, you really don't need this to be doing more damage than this. If you want a new player friendly build, it is pretty much just this build to a T, except replace those galvanized mods with the standard version of those mods. You will lose out on a little bit of damage because you won't have access to aptitude, for example, but that's okay. I don't think that really matters too much. Hopefully we get an assassin coming in, you know, eventually, so we can kill him. Speak of the devil, ask and you shall receive. Here he is. Alright, where are you, big dog? Time to die, Mr. Assassin. We got Angst. We got a teenager from like 2012. Where are you, dude? There you are. You teleporting goblin. You got enough blast procs on you yet? He doesn't quite die as quickly as I would hope, but that's okay. He does get there. It does take the entire Incarnon form to do, because he does not like getting blast proc, it would seem, and that's kind of a big part of the weapon, but that's okay. You've got that magnetic damage in there as well, which I really like for those Xmas units. Just helps you clear through them a little bit quicker, which is something that you should pretty much always consider when you're building a weapon and you have a free slot. Would you rather something like heat, or would you rather magnetic with a magnetic mod Even the smallest amount of magnetic, if you've got a high enough status chance, will just be really nice at boosting your damage against Eximus units. And that is something to always look out for if you're not running a secondary weapon that has Fortifier as an available option. Obviously, if you've got a secondary that has Fortifier as an option for Arcane, then you don't really care about Eximus units, you know, and that's something that I always find to be a toss-up on whether or not I want to go with Cascadia Flare, or if I wanted to go with a Fortifier. Personally, I usually go Fortifier just because I like the survivability and comfort of that. But there is the Cascadia Flare to keep in mind as well, so some people don't even like to run it on that. In which case, you're probably going to want to run Magnetic Might on that weapon instead, if you can. And that's always an option. Let's get out of here. That is the showcase that I wanted to do for the Phenmor. Like I said, this thing is a beast. It's super easy to build because you don't have to worry about critical chance or anything like that. You just throw in as many elements as you want with as much status chance as you can get, and you just go to town firing shitloads of bullets downrange. It really works. It's comfortable, it is incredibly efficient, and more importantly, it is incredibly diverse. You can adapt this build to whatever enemy you're fighting. Maybe you're doing Murmur, okay, put on Radiation Reload. If you're doing any like of the new Hex stuff, maybe put on the Magnetic or the extra heat to make it even higher blast damage. Just go all in on the blast damage. Maybe you're playing a bit more of an open tile set like Cetus or Fortuna. Put on Firestorm and get that extra bit of range. That way you're killing more things. It is so easy to adapt. It's so easy to push forward and get a crapload of extra damage on this gun. I absolutely love it. Definitely recommend giving it a go. It is super cheap and affordable to get in the Zariman and super easy to make. I highly recommend all of the Zariman weapons, the Latum, the Phenmor, the Felarx, and the Praetos. I think they're really, really, really worth your time, especially for a new player entering Steel Path. So give them a go. Tell me what you think down below about the weapon. Everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you all enjoyed the content. If you want to see more Warframe builds and other fun content, go check out the YouTube channel, watch another video, and help support me in any way you can. I really do appreciate it. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!